Oh, okay, we're doing this now. I think we're doing it now. Yeah, we're doing it now because it's recording. God damn it, Evan. Okay, that needs to happen. So this is episode. What's it? 3, 4, 1. It's one. It's one of those numbers. It could be 2. Whatever. It's an episode of Drunk Weather. And what are we looking at tonight? We're looking at some satellite. We're in the infrared spectrum right now because at 10 o'clock local time in the West Coast, it's really difficult to see the sun. So we're going to use a spectrum which involves detecting radiation, which is usually not available to human eyes. Human music. Okay, anyway, so what are we looking at? Not a terrible amount going on. We have a shortwave in what's that shit called? Ohio, which is doing some nonsense. What is it? Oh, Tampa is still reporting an 84 with a dew point of 75. That's impressive. But no one cares about that. So yeah, right now, nothing looks terribly impressive, right? It kind of looks like maybe a long wave's trying to form. If we go to the west side, there it goes. Okay, so let's march forward in time then, if I know how to do that. So we do that by switching to my browser. So now we're in the browser, and I need to go to my surface analysis. And so what we're looking at here is we're clearly seeing that the East Coast is under the influence of a large area of relatively greater moisture. That's what the green means, I believe. And you can see this backdoor cold front trying to sneak in, giggity. And what that's going to do is it's going to essentially push northeasterly winds into the mid-Atlantic states and the New England states. It's funny, we still call them New England states, even though America is convinced that it's independent. Sorry, we're not supposed to do political rants here. So we're going to switch to the surface 2-meter temps. And if we go to the New England, you can see exactly what I'm talking about. That's not new. That's not right. That's northwest, northeast. So you'll see this. You'll see this wind shift from the northeast. See how it kind of tries to get hot Friday afternoon. But then, fuck you. There it goes. It's pushing in some nice, cool, dry air relatively to the New England stats. That includes kind of NC. You know, it's a weak CAD, especially for September. That's pretty impressive. But if we go back to the CONUS, you see the big story is not in Atlanta or in Tampa, but rather in the Northwest. So let's zoom in on that. And what have we got going on here? We've got... you can clearly see the front has passed east of Saskatchewan, Manitoba. I'll go up slightly in altitude. It's more obvious. You see this is by tomorrow early morning, but then you'll notice some funny business going on, and that's what we want to investigate tonight. So we're going to go to these preset products. And holy shit, what is that? That's it's riding along the east coast of Alberta there, west coast of Alberta. And the reason that's happening is because if we remember our topography, all that stuff on the west side is mountains. And let's say we get easterly winds, right? The wind has to go up the mountain, and when it does that, thanks to a bunch of magic, it cools and makes clouds and makes happy rainfall happen for everybody. So if we look at the total precip accumulation, you see that mainly the mountain areas are getting it, even though the storm itself kind of is further east. So let's go back to Earth, if I remember how to do that properly. This one knows this one. I think I'm doing okay in time. I'm going to pretend I am. I'm back on Earth. Okay, so that's what we're kind of seeing here, is you see this kind of spirally bits going on. Let me pause that. And then what we can do is we can switch that to mid-range. So now we're looking at surface temperature and some other shit that really doesn't matter. What matters to me as a forecaster, but to you, the general public, who I adore and love and really hope are watching this, it's not as terribly relevant, because it's very difficult to explain in a 10-minute lecture. So let's just pretend that I know what I'm doing, just for the fun of it. And then, so what we're going to do is we're going to march forward in time. And what we're going to see as we march forward, by say mid-Friday. Okay, you see this giant closed circle bit? You could think of that as a low, because it's exactly what it is. Like, I'm not making shit up here, that's actually what that is. And it goes east, and by tomorrow afternoon, you'll notice that the winds in the West Alberta, which I assume is my primary audience, maybe it's not. I'm just going to pretend that is. Notice they're going east. So what that does is it kind of forces a bunch of cold air from the northeast, but it also kind of forces up the mountains a little bit. So if we say trigger, giggity trigger, we say turn on the preset, look at that. It's all on the east side, because that's how orographic preset works. If you're interested in that again, you can contact me at the Trump Weather Forum, and I can totally learn you how some orographic preset works. But for now, we're just going to pretend it does, because science is pretty consistent that way. And you'll notice it goes on a while, just on the east coast here. And at least 36 hours out, which is by, what is that, Saturday? Yeah, Saturday's the 5th. It's kind of weakening off. I mean, go to a coarser model. But we can kind of see, it starts to taper off by Saturday. So now you're wondering, okay, what type of precipitation is that? Because that's usually what we're concerned about around here. Because, you know, most locations in September are really concerned about precip type. So that's when we whip one of these out. And what we're looking at here, hopefully, is temperature with height. And you'll see this conveniently placed 0 line. And so what we're kind of looking for is we want the red line there to be really, really fucking close to the 0 line toward the surface, which is the bottom of this image. So let's go back to Friday, midday, there. So now what we've got, if I turn on clouds, you'll see there's a bunch of fucking white, which is what we expect when it's raining. You know, there's a lot of humidity going around. But let me turn those off because it's pretty bright and annoying. But we're still looking at temperatures. We're still looking at temperatures near 8C, and you can actually read these off here too. You know, it's actually conveniently in feet for all the peasants. So 58 feet, it's about 8.1 C. That's not terribly impressive, especially if we're looking for snow. And then you read all the way up to, there's our freezing line, right there, 0.0 at 4,000 feet above sea level. That sucks. Let's see if we can do better. So we're going to move on. It's not really getting much better. It's actually pretty depressing. It looks like it's just going to be a really cold rain at this point. And then, you know, it kind of gets chillier, but not by much. In fact, by Saturday, Sunday, it dries out and it still stays warm. So unlike a couple of weeks ago, where we did actually have a good shot of a mix in downtown, now we're just looking at a really chilly rain. But similarly to a couple weeks ago, because the decrease of temperature with height is so strong, it wouldn't surprise me if a couple of places, say like Louise or Highwood, if those guys got snowfall. It's just not looking terribly great for downtown. So that's essentially what we're looking at. There are a lot of other lines, but we're not going to go over that now, because that's just complicated. It's as difficult for me right now as it would be for you. So we're not going to go over that. So long story short, what we're looking at is the fact that there's a bunch of stuff happening in the West right now. Like, we can go back to this primary database here real quick and just whip this out. So what's going on is you can kind of see it on the west side here. You know, it gets kind of cold, but then you see the low developed. There's kind of the center, and it's bringing some cold air, and of course hot. The flyover states burn. And so that continues east. And we go to slightly longer range, not by much. And that's going to just, you can't quite see it in that run. Let's go to previous run. You can kind of see it kind of shifts east, and Chicago and friends over in PJM there, they kind of get a little chillier by Thursday, but anywhere south of North Carolina really isn't going to see any of this struggle, which is very, very unfortunate. But yeah, that's pretty much the dealio. You know, a couple weeks ago we talked about scary snow in Alberta. Well, that's still going to happen, but I don't feel like it's going to be as widespread as 2 weeks ago, as optimistic as I would like to be. So we'll just have to see how shitty El Nino continues to bring it for the rest of us. And